Western Cape Premier Helen Zille is now under fire for alleged improper conduct. Zille is accused of coercing her subordinates to helping get her son's business off the ground. Now, the matter is before the public protector, who is yet to make a decision on whether to investigate. For more on this, Zille's spokesperson, Michael Mpofu, joins us on the line. Michael, thank you so much for making the time to speak to us. The details of the story, according to a story published in the Sunday Times today, emails apparently as part of this approach to the public protector by Cameron Dugmore of the ANC show that the provincial government allegedly rushed to ensure that Paul Marie, the son of Helen Zille, and his business partner had wanted the use of 150 new tablets in their business, which offered video lessons in science subjects. The Premier is being accused of putting pressure on subordinates to push this request through. How does the Premier's office care to respond to these allegations?
Well, we absolutely reject these allegations. They are false. The Premier's responded quite extensively in a Daily Maverick column, which is available for everyone to read, where she sets out the facts of the matter. The issue is simple, and it's as follows. There were two teachers at the time who were teaching in Khayelitsha in Cape Town who wanted to run a holiday program, maths teachers, who wanted to reach as many learners before the matric exams, and they decided to provide their time, their services and their resources free of charge. And all they required was the assistance of government to ensure that they had the right resource in the form of tablets for the learners to be able to follow. And the two teachers approached their respective minister for requesting additional support, and that was done. As far as we are concerned, the particular tablets that are in question were purchased for government use under a program that we call Year Beyond, which is an after-schools program. So, in fact, they weren't purchased for the use by specific individuals. They were purchased for a particular program, and they were borrowed for school holiday program, and they were made use of. Once that was done, they were returned. There was nothing untoward. No rules were broken. And it's something that we believe is politicians are trying to use to score some points, and we reject it.
Michael, who's got use of those 150 tablets at the moment?
It's the Year Beyond program, and that's exactly what we're saying. A total of over 400 tablets were bought, and the Year Beyond program said we've got these additional tablets that you can use for the matrics. The point is to try and reach as many learners as you can. So make sure that they get access to them, and then when you're done, bring them back. These didn't benefit. They didn't stay in the possession of these two people that you identify. They came back to government, and life goes on. So as far as we are concerned, there's nothing to investigate here. Everything is above board. As a matter of fact, the opposition itself signed off on the education budget to purchase 480 tablets for the use by Year Beyond. So it's a bit hypocritical for Cameron Dugmore to turn his phrase today and want the public protector to investigate. Why did he not raise it in 2014 when the matrics have passed their exams and when Siphelele Xabendlini got 100% in physical science because of this particular assistance?
Is the Premier's son and his business partner and their new business that apparently was started after this particular effort, are they at the moment involved in the Year Beyond program?
As far as I'm concerned, not at all. As far as I'm concerned, we are working with a range of partners. And when I talk about a range of partners, there are various NGOs, and I say this specifically, NGOs who are offering their services, their time in the afternoon, after school. You've got NGOs helping out in robotics clubs, maths lessons, English lessons, and all kinds of other things. So, it's very difficult to try and see how people are trying to join the dots here. As far as I can see, it's just a political hit squad.
Now, according to one of these emails that's been reported on today, it speaks of an email from the Premier speaking about the important amount of work that her son and his business partner had put in. And she says here, and I quote, "I'm keen to encourage that level of dedication wherever it raises its head." Does the Premier believe that she acted in keeping with what is expected in her office in terms of these very difficult lines around nepotism that people in her kind of position needs to tread?
Absolutely not. You've got to remember this. You know, in our government, we're very clear about how policies and procedures and procurement works. Politicians, the Premier has never seen a procurement form the Premier doesn't even know how the procurement process takes place because we've deliberately kept politicians out of the process. That is a fact, and in fact the Auditor General will tell you as much. We've received clean audits for the last 4 or 5 years in the Western Cape. The Auditor General looks through everything to make sure we're above board. What the Premier did say is very crucial, and you quote a very important email, because in that same email, in the very next paragraph, which you haven't read out, which is quoted in the Daily Maverick, the Premier says this: I want to make it very clear, and she writes it in capital letters, that these tablets are to be used by anyone, any NGO and an enterprise wishing to be of assistance to our government. That part has been deliberately left out of all the reporting for whatever reason. Secondly, we get hundreds, and when I talk about hundreds of ideas that are presented to us as a government, which some of them we do take on and become fully effective government programs. For example, Year Beyond was an idea of a learner who was at the time at Stellenbosch University, who brought it to the Premier and said, Premier, why don't you start a mentorship program for kids who need extra lessons? The Premier took that on, and now it's a fully effective government program that's been running for at least 3 years. Why isn't anyone raising concerns about that issue?
One final question before I let you go, Michael. Obviously, you are out to prove that all the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted in terms of the structure put in place for these kinds of procurement processes. At any stage in this line of emails or in this line of conversation, did the Premier feel it probably necessary, seeing as she knew her son was involved, to say, look, my son is involved in this project, but I think it's an important project and these are the other people involved, and I just want to put that on paper?
Absolutely. Look, if there's one thing that the Premier does extremely well, like I say to you, is to make sure that everything is above board. The Premier's always declared in instances where she needs to, and vice versa. As a matter of fact, these two gentlemen themselves made sure that they didn't approach the Premier in this instance and go through the correct and proper channels, because they know and they understand the level of public scrutiny involved. What's unfair is that people who have offered their free time, their free money, and their free resources, and you rightly say that they established this startup after, and it's months, if not a year after, they decided as teachers to continue to try and reach a broader spectrum of people, much of which they're doing for free. So the Premier has done very well to declare at every single step where she has seen fit and necessary, even if she's not required to, but just to ensure that it is above board and it is above reproach. What we do not take lightly is accusation peddled by the ANC for political gain, and that is unacceptable, and we reject it, and we will continue to reject it in the strongest possible terms.
Well, we'll leave it there for now. That was Premier of the Western Cape, Helen Zille, spokesperson Michael Mpofu, giving their side of this story, which we will keep a track on. Obviously, everybody now waiting to see whether the Public Protector's Office will indeed follow up on these allegations on inappropriate conduct from Helen Zille.